Hello, my name is Alan Wright. I'm professor of metaphysics and founder here at the Right Success Institute, bringing to you today the fourth episode of my podcast, Alan, A-L-N, rightorwrong.com, right with a W. This podcast is designed to present to you information about a serious threat to your very existence. You are in danger, and I'm talking about danger right now. And I'm going to tell you and explain to you what that is in ways that are going to be difficult for many of you to understand, or believe, or both. The reason I'm coming to you as a professor of metaphysics is that the answer to why this is occurring is an important question to help people understand what's really happening in the world right now. It's very confusing. It's rather chaotic for most people, not everyone. And I would like you to know from a point of view of a metaphysician, not just a scientist or a philosopher or a religious minister or pope or president politically. I want you to understand how the cosmos works in very simple, plain language that working people can understand. People like myself. Okay? Now I do have 50 years of study on this issue that was very intense. Most of it autodidactic, but I do have 3 degrees. And I would like to help. Now I'm an old guy. I'll be 78 in a few days. And I'm not healthy. I've been put on hospice and gotten off, but I've been given a death sentence by 6 surgeons. So I'm not afraid to say what I'm going to tell you right now. Not much can affect me in a way that I worry about. A lot of people would be afraid to tell you because they would lose their careers or their positions at university or at the corporate level. And for saying much of this, I have. But that's okay, because if you want to be part of academia and higher level corporations, you got to do exactly as you're told. You do the research they tell you, you talk about the things they tell you, if you don't do the things they want you to do, they don't fund you, you aren't going to be there very long. I know there's a thing called, oh, forget that, I don't even need to talk to you about it. It's irrelevant in today's world. What I do want to tell you is exactly what's causing this threat to your life. And I mean exactly that. This is an existential threat. It threatens the entire existence of humanity. That's tough to believe and buy, isn't it? Life looks pretty good out there to a lot of people. The technology's great. The standard of living for most of the people in the world is pretty good. Certainly by degree, going from low to high. And there is about, out of 8 billion people, there's roughly between 2 and 3 billion that their lives are pretty miserable, actually. Pretty basic, trying to survive. The people that thrive in the world today do so primarily, not as you would think by the way the governance is, but by technology. And it's technology I want to turn to right now in layman's terms. In my first 3 podcasts, I'm entering the episode 4 now, the first of my second triad of episodes. In the first 3 I discussed this danger in terms of its relationship to artificial intelligence and this technology cabal, it's the only thing I can call it. It's these top technocratic corporations that are having a huge influence on the world right now, and it's only beginning. I'll give you an example. We just recently had an election in the United States of a new president, kind of a new old president. One that was impeached twice, just wasn't convicted. Most people don't understand the process of impeachment. For good reason. But politics played a role, and big money played a role. And all of which came together to put him back in office a second time. Now he is a criminal, a convicted criminal. He's a fraudster. He's a sexual offender. The man is a psychopathic narcissist. He's committed frauds all through industry his entire career. His legal representation in the beginning of his career was by one of the most biggest mob lawyers in all of New York, and perhaps around the United States. And he's just an all-around bad man. Nevertheless, he's the President of the United States with immense power. And he's working with the richest man in the world, who arguably is at the leading role of the technocracy I'm here to talk to you about. So that ought to be pretty clear to a lot of people. Now, he fooled half the population that voted that he was the right guy. How did he do that? He is an absolute pathological liar. He only says things to what a narcissist is a person who will tell you anything and do anything to get what you have that he wants. Whether it's votes or money or love or adoration. Now this man is just a symbol I'm using right now. He's not the head of it. He's not the main participant in it. He's just a catalytic event in a very, very strong position to affect events that are unfolding. Now it's that unfolding events that I want to speak to you about right now. I want to talk to you some words you're not used to hearing, okay? You understand that when we talk about cyber security, for example, we're talking about computer security. The cybernetics is the way computers work. And it's a methodology of utilizing what we know about physics and chemistry and electronics and all these things to create the world we build our smartphones and our computers and our cars and everything else around these days. Everything, the toasters and refrigerators. We depend on it. The more highly developed civilized world depends on it. Well, that's all about to change in a very radical way you didn't see coming. Now, I'm going to tell you about some things that are hard to believe again. I'm telling you this up front. But if you don't believe it, you're in dire danger. Some events are going to unfold in the next few months, no longer than a year, right around a year, in a escalating, very fast escalating manner. Think about taking your car from a full stop to 80 to 100 miles an hour, just as fast as you can go. That speed goes like that. It doesn't go like that. Okay? That's the way events in your world's going to occur soon. Chaos will develop. Violence will be a factor. Now, throughout history, most people aren't that interested in history. Going way back thousands of years, rapid change in the life of humans evolved rapidly at times and slow at others. We have evolution, we have revolution. Revolutions usually involve violence and rapid change. They involve energy that's brought to bear to make rapid changes. Not always for the good. Well, it's going to be up to you to decide from your point of view, relatively speaking. Thank you, Mr. Einstein. Relatively speaking, it's a decision you're going to make whether you're going to survive and thrive or whether you're going to succumb to what happens. Now, what does that mean? More specifically, technology is reaching a point with artificial intelligence that the people who control it are literally going to control the world. Okay? Now, how they use it, we don't know yet. But it will be up to them. And it's happening, and you can't stop it. Okay? It's only going to continue accelerating. All you can decide is you're going to go along for the ride in a positive way, or if you're going to be a loser. Winners and losers. It's real, folks. Now, if you're a loser, you may lose your life, or you may lose your ability to thrive in the world. Anywhere near like you do now. But in order to do so, you've got to make a decision, and you need to make it now. You need to decide if you're going to go into a different form of humanity, we call transhumanism, or you're going to face post-humanism, or to some degree at least, of zombieism. If you move towards the new world, as humans transform into what I call cyborgs, and I'm not talking about robotics, I'm talking about this hybridization of humans to this transhuman environment where you're going to be much more cybernetic beings than you are today with your smartphones and computers. It's going to involve much, much more. Well, the real danger is the purpose of what I'm going to present to you today in the creation of something that I want to use a metaphor for in my way of teaching. And I want to compare this new world that you're going to be living in if you survive it. And I'm calling it Cyborgenica, where you're either a cyborg or you're going to be a lost zombie. You're going to have your entire livelihood threatened, death may occur, certainly a loss of property and money and ability to eat and live, or at some level you're going to be doing a little bit better as you scrounge around in the remains of the old humanity. And it's not going to happen evolutionary slow and speed over thousands of years like you're taught. It's something going to happen right away. It's something akin to the discovery of fire, its wheel, the Industrial Revolution. This new, what we're calling artificial intelligence, wrapped up in the control and governments of the world, the creation of weaponry in order to do that. It's happening right now. Most of it in secret, at levels you're not told about. You're getting a feed from the media, basically, that is very surface oriented. It's kind of a fun thing to do your gaming. It's a fun thing to have the smartphone. It's a useful thing, okay? But it's changing too, very rapidly, behind the scenes. And the key factor in this is cyber currencies. Now, how can that affect you and affect you right away? I can tell you a long litany of reasons. I can go into a lot of ways to explain this. But what's going to happen is this. Simply put, you're going to embrace these cybergenic events, this cyborgenesis, and become a cyborg yourself at some degree, or a zombie left out. Now, one of the giants in this industry, a fellow by the name of Nick Bostrom, just came out with a book. It's an important book, and he talks about utopia or dystopia. Now, if you like to think of yourself as a positive thinker and that you're going to survive and thrive and all this, and you can just keep on doing what you're doing, life will stay the same if you're making a lot of money and living well. Okay, you're thinking as a utopian thinker, but it's relatively uneducated about reality, although you think you've been quite successful till today. If you're a kind of a negative thinker and you're kind of seeing things that don't look right to you in the world today, and it's starting to affect your life, like our president, you can start thinking about dystopia as a bad outcome and how it's going to affect you personally. And I call it a result of ignorance. You can't ignore this problem. It's just not going to go away. You've either got to learn more about it so that you can do something about it, or you just have to take the events the way they come, and it probably won't work out well for you, whether you think it will or not. I want to talk more about that. First, I want to describe the event itself a little bit. On the very immediate level, let's just use an example that half of the world, although their votes were bought mostly by lies, this campaign this president exercised and the people behind him exercised, costing billions of dollars, they lied to you about what they're going to do. Plain and true. It's what I call a true lie. I wrote a song about it. I play guitar about it. I write and tell people about it. I do videos about it because I want to help. But anyway, this event was for the purpose of what I call a true lie, because behind this event is a revolution in how the world's going to work. Now this guy that's the head of the government in the United States, he is not really in charge of anything. He is really messed up, but he thinks he is. And what he's doing is he's just speeding up the event leading to this cyborgenesis. And he wants to profit by it with his token cryptocurrency. And that's a huge issue and player in what I'm going to tell you. He's not the only one bad guy here, that's for sure. I'm not even sure he's totally aware of what he's doing. The man's not okay. Anyway, this event, whether it's going to be utopian or dystopian to you in your life, in your family, depends on how you manage what's going to happen rapidly. I want to talk to you right now about this Cyborgenica, using a metaphor, a weather metaphor. When I came back from Vietnam, I almost became a weatherman here in Tucson on one of the major networks. But I decided not to because I really wanted to be a teacher and a coach. I love baseball, and I coached baseball, football, basketball, girls, boys. I loved it. And I love teaching. I always have since I was a high school student. But anyway, I'm going to use this weather metaphor. I've studied it, and one of my favorite old stories is about a man connected to many things who at the University of Arizona was a professor of meteorology. And I learned from him the dangers of the CIA and the whole thing about unidentified flying objects, or whatever you want to call them. Aerial phenomena. Anyway, what I want to talk about is weather. I know a lot about weather, and I want to tell you something you don't know. It's just a different way of thinking that's important to what I'm going to say. When a storm comes, or is coming, depending on where you're living really, when a storm is coming, whether it's a hurricane, a cyclone, a tornado, whatever you want to call it, it could be something coming from the sea, something overwhelming that's going to overwhelm where you live. Okay, I worked for FEMA for a while because I wanted to help, and I went around and helped people get back in their homes with FEMA and hurricanes and stuff. So it's definitely part of my learning. But anyway, whether you believe that storm's coming and how you prepare for it is important. Well, I want you to understand by weather. If I'm a weatherman and I'm on your TV set and I'm telling you about the weather coming, you kind of believe I probably know what I'm talking about. You probably know it's predictive. It's not for certain. There's a probability and there's a possibility. But as that possibility becomes more probability, they warn you. Well, I'm giving you a weather warning, but on a more large, grander scale. There's a warning facing all humanity, and it is in the form of a storm, rapidly cascading towards creating a violent outcome. Now, I'll give you an indication of what people do and don't know about weather. The average person in the United States and around the world thinks the wind blows. We all know the wind blows. If it blows hard, it's a bad thing. If it blows nice and a little breeze, it's a good thing. But the wind doesn't blow. Ever. It feels like it's blowing when you're standing here looking this way, and behind you you feel the wind blowing you this way, but it's not. But to you, it is. And that's kind of what I talk about when I talk from a perspective. From your perspective, the wind can be blowing on your back, but in reality it's being sucked forward from a high pressure to a low pressure area, and you just happen to be in the way, and you like the terminology, you're being blown away. Okay? But the wind itself, the air, is being sucked from a high pressure to a low pressure area. People, well, who cares, and so what? Well, this event is a little bit like that. It depends a little bit on which way you're looking, okay, and which way you're thinking. Because this weather event here is like this issue that I'm trying to get into your attention. The weather's turning ugly. There's a big storm coming, okay? And it's coming hard, and it can blow you away. It sucks. This is going to be a low tide for humanity, a high tide overcoming it. What exactly is this guy talking about? Who, what, where, why, and when, how? Why being the most important question. Now I'm going to give you a real little short lesson in metaphysics in very simple layman's terms. Obviously there's tons of science behind it, religion, philosophy, mythology, chemistry, all the things, psychology. But I'm going to give it to you in real simple layman's terms. My wife likes to call it the nutshell. And it's important. It's important to this conversation, so I'm going to do it. It'll be real short. There's a cosmic event taking place. Always. It's just not always here where we live in the cosmos. Okay? But this cosmic event is very, very severe in the sense of our ability to survive the outcome. I'm going to take you back to, if you look far into the sky, as far as you can look, as far as any telescope can look, or anybody can even imagine, there is no end. Hard to understand and believe, because people have taught you that there's a universe, and it was a big bang, and it was created, and all these stars and planets and galaxies and solar systems all evolved from that. There was an evolving series of events that happened, but that was not the beginning of the universe. There is no universe. A universe goes back to the idea of one God, one world, one universe. No, no, no. Not true. There's only eternity, and there's only infinity. It's infinite distance out into this space away from us, from our perspective, human beings on this planet. It appears big, but it's infinite, and in all directions, in what we call the downward small, microscopic, subatomic direction. Famous scientists of the physics type talk about this at basically what's called, in a factor of 10, a minus 34, small. The ends of the observable universe, they're talking in terms of powers of 10, about the same. In fact, it goes forever. And it lasts forever. Now, I'm going to talk about two men real briefly, actually three. I'm going to talk about two fellows that existed somewhat simultaneously in the 1600s. A man named Leibniz and a man named Newton. They both discovered the calculus, different parts of the calculus that are quite important. The important thing about calculus and mathematics is it's a simple system, it's a language of approximation. Numbers don't exist any more than the letters of the alphabets exist in language. They're symbols. They're trying to talk about something that does exist, okay? But the numbers they use, 1 and 0, don't exist. Okay? They're just symbols to indicate what they perceive as limits or the end of the process, getting big, getting small. You go small to nothing, you go large to everything, and that's one, everything. But everything and nothing don't exist. It's the in-between that actually exists. It's a process. Beginning and ending. Lots of beginnings and endings. Birth and death, if you want to think of it that way. So everything's always changing. Well, these people discovered that. What we actually live is within time. And time is just a word. We use it in reference to our individual lives in our current understandings, and we measure it in certain ways. But those are all just useful ways, okay? But the truth goes far beyond this. Truth goes beyond pragmaticism or just practicality. It goes to what's real. And what's real is time is just, if you can think of it this way, and whether you want to think of it in terms of computers or you want to think as the gate into your house or the doorway. It opens in and it opens out. It opens or closes. Okay? Well, there's three things involved at the very, very lowest beginning of, and it wasn't true beginning, but at the lowest level you can think of, because we can't see it and we can't measure it. They call it the Planck length. Okay? At this level of things, there are what's called monads, and that was Leibniz's contribution. You call them monads. They don't really exist, and he still was kind of a believer in God, but he also knew these monads were so tiny that, and there was, they were everywhere and throughout eternity and throughout all infinity. And that's the reality of what they used to call the ether, the ethereal realm, where everything's so tiny, but yet it's unmeasurable, but yet it's all reality. A fellow that I studied, a physicist named Paul Dirac, called it and it was called the Sea of Dirac, is about this ethereal reality. Einstein, one of our foremost people that you know that talks about energy and mass and all these things, the theory of relativity, he thought that he and others proved there was no ether. Well, they were wrong. He talked about a bending of things, time, and all things from gravity, okay? Well, he was wrong, but partially correct, in a very important way, of course. But that wasn't what's happening. There is a bending that occurs. There is some call it enfolding that occurs, and an unfolding that occurs of these monads and how they organize. But it's still just a process. Think of it as on, off, okay? But when they go on and off, this biodigitation, I call it biodigitation because it is a digital event, and it does create, it's creative in a sense, it's also destructive. It creates and it destroys. How does it do that? Well, if you want to use some terms, like I'm going to use photogenic or photonic and gravitonic. Most physicists today acknowledge they don't understand gravity. They don't know where it comes from. I'll tell you where it comes from. It comes from this gravitonic phase of these monads. They go through a phase. They digitally vibrate back and forth between the photonic and the gravitonic. The gravitonic phase, when it coagulates, using that term, to create density, it creates matter. It's the origin of dark energy, dark matter. All matter that we know about. Things get denser, like steel and wood and all the things that we know about density. Water is dense, but not as dense as wood. Okay, that's creative. Okay, but it also destroys because it goes away immediately. There's the photonic phase and the gravitonic phase. Well, what happens in between? It's what we call instantiation. There's that gate. It opens, it closes. When it closes down, it's dark energy. When it opens up, it's light energy. You have a spectrum. Well, that's the essence of it at the ethereal level. And everything builds from that through electromagnetism and all the things we do know more about. Why is that important and why does it matter? What it matters is there is birth and death for people. There's birth and death for most things because everything's changing all the time. But these monads never die. It is eternity, it's infinity, it's what we call a hollow fractal existence. All things come and go. Well, there's a coming and going about to take place for humanity. Just like we moved from being these pre-Homo sapiens, you don't want to become like those Neanderthals that are extinct. Okay? They didn't think they were going to become extinct when Homo sapiens, who developed language and tools, made them irrelevant. Useless eaters out in the wild. We civilized, Homo sapiens did, and here we are. But the gate's starting to swing. Humanity, in the phase of this Homo sapiens, is converging into a transhumanism for some and a posthumanism for others. You don't want to be left behind, so you have to learn some new things, do some new things, or you're going to get left behind in your lifetime. Right now, soon. Rapid. This is a revolution, not a long evolution. It's happening rapidly because of the technology we're using today. The cryptocurrency, the cybernetics, okay? All of it's going to happen very rapidly. And you're going to get caught up in it whether you like it or not. It's like that storms are coming. A lot of people, when I worked with FEMA and went around the country, they decided they could stay in their house or they could stay on their houseboat. Various things I found all through the flooding and the hurricanes and all the rest of it. And many of them died because of it. Don't be like that. Many lost their homes. They lost their ways of making a living. They through great fires. Okay, like the one they just had in Pacific Palisades. I had an old college roommate who from Pacific Palisades, a beautiful mansion right on the cliffs above the beautiful ocean. Okay, these houses burned. They weren't having that lifestyle anymore. Now a lot of people had other assets they could rebuild. That's what you need. In some way or shape, you've got to find some assets, some ways to move through this in a positive way for you and your family and friends and people that you care about. I'm offering you help to do that. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about Cybergenica. It's going to be a hard phrase to get used to. Cyborgenica is something different than living in America. I'm using this because this is where I live. Could be anywhere. It's going to happen faster right here. We're at the core of it. At the genesis of this Cyborgenica, we're creating primarily through the power of the United States and its power since World War II as it took control of the world financially and otherwise, militarily. And we now are responsible in much, very high fashion for what's happening. It's not just an American event, but it's primarily driven by American events and China and others. Japan's certainly a big player. But Cybernetica, what I call a lot of different things, but Cybergenica, as I prefer to call it, instead of America, is this world that embraces this new technology of cybernetics, and it's going to create this utopian and dystopian world, fragmented by a few at the top that are going to live like kings. Their air quality will be better, their water will be better, there'll be less population, less chaos. They won't worry about all the factors in what they're going to call the useless eaters stand for. It's going to go away. What they'll have left is the world that's going to evolve just as humanity evolved from the wilds of the Neanderthals and their progenitors. What that means for you is you need to learn some different things. Know thyself. You need to do some outside the traditional education system, which is being destroyed as we speak by the crazy man at the helm, who put a woman in charge, who's a clown, of our Department of Education. I'm just using one example. Now, this woman's only job is to destroy education as we know it at the national level. Now, could it use changing? Absolutely. It became a system designed to support the intellectual elite, the people hired and fired and controlled by the wealthy, the autocracy, okay, that I call it an autocracy, the technocracy, the people that are controlling how the world is being run, the bankings, international banking, the Federal Reserve since 1913. These people are controlling everything, and they're funding these universities and top down are controlling public education as well, and just trying to keep this socio-economic system functioning the way it's working for them. But it's now taking a tremendous effort, and it's moving towards basically just for them. They don't need us anymore, the workers. The whole industrial complex of workers, not needed anymore by them. They don't need your consumption, your taxes, or the profits coming from you anymore. The world's changing. So where will their money come from? Where does their power come from? Cyber currency. Control of power itself. Going all the way back to monads. It's power built into the system that they're going to control through the extreme power that comes with this, what they call the singularity, deriving from this cyber intelligence, this artificial intelligence, which isn't artificial at all. It's a new partnership with another whole way of understanding the world. They run it, they control it. Now the clown is president, the clown is the secretary, they'll all go away. Their time is going to go rather rapidly. But in the meantime, the damage they're causing can cause a lot of harm to you, and it'll get worse, a lot worse, despite what all the people were confused by when they elected him. Okay, it's going to get worse before it gets better because of the lies, what I call true lies. So you've been taken advantage of. Let's do something about it. I'm going to move on now. I have a lot more to say about that in episodes 5 and 6, but I want to talk now directly about how I can help you do that, which is the purpose of me doing these podcasts. This is my second or third today, so I may be repeating myself right now, but I want to tell you about the reason that I'm doing this, and that is because my life's coming to an end shortly. And as my legacy going out, I want you to understand that I can help you through this. I think I'm going to make it another year. I'm hoping. I don't know that. But anyway, it may be just weeks or months for me. But what's going to happen here is I'm going to show you a way to get free, well understood help from a professional strategic planner that can do it. He's done it with corporations, the government, at all levels, all kinds of things. I've taught strategic planning, and I've taught it to very troubled kids, very low IQ people, very people needing help at all levels, psychologically and otherwise, through reality therapy that I do. That's just the name given to it by people that wanted to control it, but it's a form of how you help people get better in their lives. Anyway, I use that in my planning here and teaching you how to do strategic planning. I call it my Pathfinder project. It's my retirement project. I also wrote a song about it, play guitar about it, and it's called True Lie Blues. But as I take you through this process, it's to help you find a pathway to both survive and thrive. And it's all online through about 16 websites that I manage. And I manage these progressively to help take you down this path leading to where you want to go, what you want, what you think you can move through in this environment that's going to change. I want to take you through this forest that you can't really see right now for all the craziness going on. So I can help you, You can quit anytime. I charge nothing, no contracts, nothing like that. You just go through it, each step, and if you don't want to go through, you just go away. Simple as that. Turn me off. So I'm offering that to you. These podcasts are designed to try to tell you why I want to help you and why maybe you should accept my help. You don't like it, that's okay, it's your choice. But remember the consequences, and if you can find a better way to get some help through it, I wish you luck. Okay? All I'm saying is I can and I will. Now you find somebody else that can and will, good for you. I'm all for it. But I can and I will, and I'm free. Mainly because I'm about ready to die. Okay, move on to whatever's next. And this holographic image of me that people like to think of as consciousness or who you really are, this sixth sense we have created for ourselves as Homo sapiens of who we are, well, that is going away. Okay, now what parts of that are going to remain, we don't honestly know right now. But we do know that your body will break down, just like all things do, before they build back up as something else. What else is coming, I have no idea about. But I do know in the short term, in different terms than you're used to measuring time, in the short term, you're going to go through and create this cybergenesis, and you can be a part of it, or you can be left behind. It's up to you. It's free choice, but it is your only choice. Your biggest choice to make. And how you live it, that's all again part of the choice. But you're going to lose your money, you're going to lose probably your housing and all that, and you're going to be given what they want to give you based on how they create this cyber currency and how they control it and how they decide what you get. Your dollars will go away at all levels. All your pensions and retirement funds and all of your plans and all of that, your savings, they'll disappear into this forest, this unknown cyber creation of what we know is money, symbolic ways of uniting civilization and keeping them productive and all that stuff. But what you were taught in school, history. History. History is being remade as we speak. You're part of it. So I encourage you to get with it. Yeah, I hope you'll visit me through episodes 5 and 6 following this one. And I encourage you to go to my website, rightorwrong.com. That's the first step to find out more about specifically what I offer you and how I can help you and what the methodology is. There are several steps to go through. Okay, you can go through it fast, you can go through it slow. It depends on your interest level and your ability level. So we'll see. But I'll help you every way I can. And so go to right with a W or wrong.com, rightorwrong.com, and I'll help you in any way I can. I do most of it taking you through videos and just telling you what I can do to help you. And then I take you to some blogs. You can comment, ask questions. It's a conversational mode. You talk to me, ask questions. I give you other things that will help you. You'll ask more questions as you move along. And your understanding will increase. And as you move through that, you can contact me through email, through getting on and contributing to some of these blogs at the further stages. I'll do Zoom or Microsoft Teams with people interested. I'll do seminars with small groups as long as I can. There's a lot of ways in this process that I can help you. I want to coach you, I want to teach you. That's what I do. I'm preaching a little bit because for those of you that hold out for some God to save you at some point, I wish you luck. I used to believe that too. And mythology around it all, there's a yin and a yang to this. But there isn't an end in heaven or up in the stars or the sky. There's endings and there's beginnings, but it always keeps going. And you're part of it, and you always will be, but maybe not with this personality that we've developed as a sixth sense for survival here on this planet. There's more to it. It's a much bigger thing. Okay? I wish you luck through it. I want to help you as long as I can. With that, I'm going to sign off here and end this episode 4 of my podcast and start preparing episode 5. And I'm going to get back to my website so I can help the people that are already there. Wishing you well. Hope to see you. Adios and vaya con Dios for those religious folks. And I do wish you all the best. And I'll work with anybody that wants to. I have no angst about anybody that doesn't want to. I just feel sorry for you if you can't find somebody that can help you. Don't believe all the craziness that they're putting out to protect their power system, or to just make a lot of people are trying, but their education levels are faulty, their training is faulty, the paradigm is faulty, the belief system is faulty, and it can be better. So I encourage you to work further with me. There are many people that have taught me and are continuing. My education continues all the time. I read a book a week or more all the time. I continue my learning. It's really important, even if you're an old and dying man like myself, falling apart. Okay.